I never thought my life could change in a single morning. I walked up the front steps of my house, expecting the usual sounds: my little brother playing video games, the faint smell of mom's coffee, maybe the soft hum of the dishwasher. But the door swung open, and the house was silent. Too silent. I froze. The kitchen was empty. No voices, no movement, just a small piece of paper on the counter. I walked over, my hands trembling. I picked it up. Figure it out yourself. That was it. No explanation, no goodbye. My parents were gone. My brother, gone. They had vanished overnight without a word, and somehow they expected me to just survive. I sank into a chair, staring at the note as if it might change its words. Memories collided with the reality in front of me. I remembered the birthday cake I had made for my mom at 14, decorated with love and care, only for her to call it messy. I remembered tutoring my brother, late nights helping him cram for exams, only for him to slam the door in my face, muttering I was a know-it-all. I remembered giving my first paycheck to Dad to help cover bills and being called useless when I mentioned it later. All my efforts, all my care, it didn't matter, because right now I was completely alone. I called every friend I could think of, but most were at work or school. I slept on the couch of a classmate for a couple of nights, but eventually even that space ran out. With my last savings, I rented a small storage unit, a place I had imagined using for extra boxes, never as a bed. I slept on the cold floor, huddled under a thin blanket, and took quick showers at the YMCA before school or work. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it was peanut butter straight from the jar. I applied for jobs at the public library on the free computers, keeping a smile on my face as if everything were normal. Eventually, I got a night shift at a diner. The manager was strict but fair. She let me nap in the break room when exhaustion nearly knocked me out. I saved every penny, learned from every mistake, and slowly began piecing together a plan for survival. The first year was brutal, but it worked. Small jobs turned into temp positions turned into freelance work, and by 24, I had started my own small consulting business. By 26, I had a team, an office, and clients I had only dreamed of before. And by 28, I was financially independent, debt-free, with a savings account that made me cry the first time I saw it hit 6 figures. Through all of it, my family never reached out, not once. I had glimpses of my brother on social media, married, living in the state they had disappeared to. I wondered if he ever remembered me, if he told anyone the truth, or if I had simply been erased from their lives. Sometimes I thought it might be easier to hate them, but it wasn't hate. It was heartbreak. Now, years later, I survive. I thrive, but I still carry that morning with me, the note, the empty house, and the sharp edge of betrayal that set me on fire. And if I've learned one thing from those terrifying, lonely nights, it's this: I am capable, I am strong, and no one, not even the people who gave me life, can take that away from me. Life had a rhythm now, but peace was an illusion. One evening, while closing the diner, I noticed something strange. A man had been sitting in the corner booth for hours, drinking coffee and scribbling in a notebook. I didn't think much of it at first. Weird people at night weren't unusual. But then, as I wiped the counters, I caught his gaze. It wasn't curiosity, it was recognition. He got up and approached me. "You're Sofia, right?" His voice was low, calm, almost too controlled. "Yes," I replied cautiously, keeping my distance. "Do I know you?" He shook his head. "No, but I know your family. I know what happened to them." My heart froze. After years of silence, the idea that someone knew anything about my parents or my brother felt unreal. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "They didn't disappear by accident," he said. "They left for a reason, and now you're in danger." I wanted to laugh. Danger? Me? After everything I survived? This sounded like a bad joke. But there was something in his eyes, a quiet warning that made me shiver. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because you're next." The words hit harder than any blow I'd ever taken. I wanted to ask more, but before I could, he slipped out of the diner, disappearing into the rainy night. I stood there, frozen, gripping the counter. My mind raced. My family's disappearance had haunted me for over a decade, but I had convinced myself it was a story with an ending. I survived. I thrived. Now a new chapter was opening, one I wasn't ready for. That night, I barely slept. My small apartment felt smaller than ever. Every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, even the rain against the window set my nerves on edge. I double-checked the locks. The morning after the diner encounter, the city felt colder, emptier, as if it was holding its breath. I packed my laptop, notebooks, and the few belongings I could grab quickly. Every step I took felt heavy with caution. Somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching, waiting for me to slip. My first stop was the old bookstore my mother used to frequent. It was dusty, quiet, filled with the smell of old paper and ink. I hoped to find clues in the books she had read, the journals she kept, anything that might lead me to answers. As I rifled through the shelves, a piece of paper fell from an old history book. I picked it up, a map of the city, but not like any ordinary map. Certain streets were circled in red, and there were scribbled notes, numbers, names, dates. My heart raced. This was a breadcrumb trail left by someone who knew my family, maybe my parents themselves. Suddenly, the sound of the bell above the door snapped me back. A young man, barely in his 20s, with sharp eyes and a cautious smile. "You're Sofia, right?" he asked, almost exactly like the man from the diner. "Yes," I said, standing tall. "Do I know you?" He shook his head. "No, but I can help you. My name's Leo. I've been tracking M for years. I know what they're capable of." I studied him carefully. Was he part of the danger or a lifeline? Something in his demeanor, the way he spoke, the intensity in his eyes, told me I could trust him, at least for now. He pulled out a folder, thick with documents, photographs, and newspaper clippings. "Your family was involved in something bigger than you know," he said. "They discovered secrets that powerful people wanted buried. That's why they disappeared. And now those same people are after you." I took the folder, my hands trembling. The photographs showed my parents meeting shadowy figures, exchanging envelopes, leaving places that I had never known existed. Each image felt like a punch to the gut. "Why didn't they leave me a message?" I asked, voice cracking. "They did," Leo said, "but it wasn't obvious. They left clues, hidden where only someone who knew them well could find them. And you were always clever. You'll find the next step." I swallowed hard, determination mixing with fear. I wasn't a child anymore. I wasn't going to run. I was going to follow the trail, uncover the truth, and confront whoever had destroyed my family. Leo glanced around the bookstore. "We don't have much time. If M knows we're looking, we could be targets any second. The first lead is at the old clock tower. Your father used to go there before he disappeared. That's where you'll find answers." I nodded, my pulse racing. Every instinct screamed caution, but curiosity and a hunger for justice pushed me forward. As we left the bookstore and stepped into the city streets, I realized one undeniable truth. The shadows of my family's past were stretching further than I ever imagined, and I was about to step right into them. The streets were quiet, almost unnaturally so, as Leo and I made our way toward the old clock tower. The city seemed to hold its breath, as if it too knew danger was near. Every step echoed against the empty alleyways. Shadows clung to the corners, shifting in ways that made my skin crawl. I clutched the folder tightly, feeling the weight of my parents' secrets pressing against my chest. "The clock tower hasn't been used in years," Leo whispered. "Most people avoid it. Perfect place for someone to hide or to trap you." I nodded, determination overriding my fear. We reached the iron gates, rusted and chained, but a small side entrance was slightly ajar. Inside, the tower smelled of dust and old stone, the silence broken only by the distant tick of the giant clock above. The spiral staircase wound upward, and each step creaked ominously beneath our weight. Halfway up, I noticed something carved into the wall, a symbol I recognized from my mother's journal, a circle with a tiny star in the center. "That's her mark," I whispered. "She was here." Leo glanced at me, nodding. "Exactly, and if she left this mark, she wanted you to follow. Watch carefully. Anything could be a clue." We reached the top floor, where the giant clock mechanism loomed like a metallic beast. Gears and pendulums moved silently, casting shifting shadows across the floor. And then I saw it, a small wooden box tucked into the corner, almost invisible. My heart hammered as I approached, my fingers trembling. Inside the box was a single envelope, yellowed with age. I tore it open. A note fell out, written in my mother's familiar handwriting. "Sofia, if you are reading this, then you have begun to follow the path. Trust no one fully, and remember, M is closer than you think. The truth will hurt, but it will also set you free." I swallowed hard, my hands shaking. This was bigger than I imagined. My parents had been fighting something dangerous, something that had followed them, and now it was following me. Suddenly, a noise from below made me freeze, the sound of footsteps echoing up the spiral staircase, slow, deliberate. "Someone's coming," Leo hissed, drawing a small flashlight. "We need to hide." We ducked behind the gears just as a shadow crossed the doorway. A figure, tall and cloaked, stepped into the moonlight filtering through the clock tower window. I caught only a glimpse, a mask, glinting eyes, and hands that moved like they were ready for anything. The intruder stopped, scanning the room. My stomach twisted. Whoever this was, they knew we were here. And in that moment, I realized the chase had truly begun. The shadow moved closer, every step resonating through the hollow clock tower. My heart pounded in my ears, louder than the ticking above. Leo grabbed my arm, his eyes wide with tension. "We need a plan, fast. We can't let them see the box." I nodded, forcing myself to breathe slowly. My fingers still clutched the envelope like a lifeline. Whoever M was, they weren't here for pleasantries. The figure paused near the gears, tilting their head as if sensing us. I could feel the cold gaze piercing through the shadows. Then, almost casually, the intruder reached for the box. "No," I whispered, but it was barely audible. In a split second, Leo lunged, grabbing the figure's arm. The masked intruder spun around, eyes glowing through the mask. I could hear their sharp intake of breath, the scrape of their boots against the floor. A fight erupted. Leo was strong, but the intruder moved like a shadow, fast and precise. I scrambled for anything I could use, a loose wrench, a piece of metal. My hand found a heavy gear piece, and I swung it just as the figure came toward me. The intruder dodged with almost supernatural reflexes, spinning and sending a gust of wind that nearly knocked me off balance. "Run!" Leo shouted. We darted through the stairwell, the intruder close behind. My chest burned, every step feeling like I was running on fire. We turned corner after corner, the tower becoming a maze of shadows and echoing metal. Finally, we burst through a small exit onto the roof. The city stretched below, bathed in the silver glow of the moon. For a moment, we paused, gasping for air. But the danger wasn't over. The masked figure appeared at the edge of the roof, just as agile as before. They didn't pursue immediately, instead standing still, watching us with unnerving patience. "They're testing us," Leo said, wiping sweat from his brow. "They want us scared. That's the first step." I looked at the envelope in my hand. My mother's warning burned in my mind. Trust no one fully. The figure raised a hand, pointing directly at us, almost like a silent promise. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, they vanished into the night, leaving only the echo of their presence. "I think they know exactly who we are," I said, my voice trembling. Leo nodded grimly, "and we just became part of their game." The city lights below were calm, oblivious to the storm that had just begun. But we knew one thing for certain: the real danger was only getting started. The morning light barely filtered through the dusty windows of the old apartment. Sofia rubbed her eyes, the adrenaline from last night still thrumming through her veins. Leo was already at the table, spreading out the contents of the envelope. "Look at this," he said, pointing at a small piece of parchment hidden beneath the letters. Strange symbols curled across it, almost like a language of its own. Sofia leaned in closer. It looks like a code. My mom always had puzzles like this, but this one feels different, dangerous. Leo traced the lines with his finger. It's a map, but not just any map. It points to locations, secret locations, and I think she wanted us to find them. A chill ran down Sofia's spine. Why would she hide this from me? Why now? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside the window. Both of them jumped, hearts pounding. Sofia grabbed the envelope, clutching it tightly. "It's them," Leo whispered. "They're watching us, probably waiting for the moment we try to decode this." Sofia took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing thoughts. "Then we don't have a choice. We have to figure this out before they do." The first clue was subtle, a string of numbers scribbled in the margin. Leo frowned, tapping his chin. "It's a date, or maybe coordinates, something that leads to the next step." Sofia's mind raced. She remembered her mother's old journals, filled with riddles and hidden meanings. She flipped through the pages rapidly, searching for a pattern. Finally, a memory clicked. A drawing of a clock tower, almost identical to the one they had barely escaped the night before. "That's it," she said. "It's the tower. She's leading us there." Leo's eyes widened. "The same place? Are you sure we want to go back?" Sofia's grip tightened on the envelope. "We don't have a choice. If she left this, it's important. We need to know what she's warning us about." As they prepared to leave, a shadow passed across the room. Both froze. No one was there, but the feeling of being watched was undeniable. Sofia's heart raced. "We're being tailed. Again. This is getting dangerous, faster than we imagined." Sofia nodded grimly. "Then we move carefully, one step at a time, no mistakes." The hidden message was just the beginning. Every symbol, every note, every clue from her mother was a key to something much larger, something that M wanted more than they could imagine. And as they stepped out into the quiet streets, the city seemed calm, too calm. The storm that had started last night was far from over. The streets were eerily quiet as Sofia and Leo approached the clock tower. Every step echoed, bouncing off the old stone buildings. Shadows stretched long under the early afternoon sun, but the city felt empty, too empty. Sofia held the envelope tightly, scanning every corner. "Something doesn't feel right," she whispered. Leo nodded, his eyes darting to the rooftops. "I know. It's like they're waiting for us to make a move, and I have a bad feeling about this." They reached the base of the tower, the heavy doors looming above. The first clue had led them here, but the next step was unclear. The strange symbols on the parchment seemed to shift under the sunlight, almost as if they were alive. "Look," Sofia pointed to a small hidden engraving near the door. "It matches the symbols on the paper. I think we need to push it." Leo hesitated. "Or it could be a trap." Sofia's hands trembled, but she pressed the engraving. With a low rumble, the door creaked open, revealing a dark spiral staircase descending into shadow. As they stepped inside, a sudden click echoed behind them. The door slammed shut, locking automatically. Sofia and Leo spun around. "It's a trap!" Leo shouted. A mechanical voice crackled through hidden speakers, chilling and precise. "Welcome, Sofia and Leo. You found a first step, but can you survive it?" Sofia's heart raced. "It's her or him. Whoever set this up wants us to fail." The staircase led them to a small chamber, dimly lit by flickering lanterns. Strange symbols lined the walls, glowing faintly. In the center, a pedestal held a glass orb pulsating with light. Leo stepped forward cautiously. "It looks beautiful, but I know better than to touch it." Sofia studied the orb. "There's a note beneath it." She read aloud. "Only those who see beyond the obvious will pass. One wrong move and you'll never leave." A sudden shift in the floor beneath them made them stumble. Panels slid open, revealing spikes aimed to drop at any sudden motion. Sofia froze. Every nerve screamed. "It's a puzzle, and we need to solve it fast." They studied the symbols on the walls. Patterns emerged, shapes and numbers intertwined in a sequence. Sofia traced the sequence on the pedestal. A soft click echoed. Suddenly, the spikes retracted. A hidden door slid open, revealing a corridor that led deeper into the tower. Sofia exhaled, her body shaking. "That was too close. M, whoever you are, this is just the beginning." Leo nodded, swallowing hard. "And it's only going to get worse. We have to stay sharp." As they moved down the corridor, the air grew colder. The faint sound of whispers echoed off the stone walls, almost as if the tower itself was alive. Sofia tightened her grip on the envelope. "We're not just following clues. We're in a game, and M is the one controlling it." The hidden messages had led them here, but surviving the trap meant they had to think faster than ever. Every step forward felt like walking a tightrope over an abyss. And as they disappeared into the shadows, the glass orb's light pulsed one final time, an ominous reminder that the game had only begun. The corridor stretched ahead, narrow and silent, the cold stone walls pressing in on Sofia and Leo. Their footsteps seemed unnaturally loud, as if the tower itself was listening. Sofia's hand stayed tight on the envelope, her knuckles white. "Do you think someone is following us?" she whispered. Leo glanced back, his eyes scanning the dim passage. "I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. Whoever set that trap, they're smart. They know we're here." A faint scuffling sound echoed ahead, soft but deliberate. Sofia froze. "That wasn't us." Leo nodded. "Stay close and don't make a sound." They rounded a corner, and the corridor opened into a larger chamber, walls covered in ancient tapestries. The flickering lanterns cast strange shadows, making the room feel alive. In the center, a large chessboard was inlaid into the floor, pieces carved from black and white marble. Sophia stepped forward cautiously. This looks like a game. Leo knelt, examining the pieces. It's more than a game. Look at the patterns on the pieces. They're not random. It's a message. Suddenly, a whisper filled the room, echoing from every direction. You're learning, slowly. Both froze. Sophia's heart raced. Who's there? No answer, only the soft shifting of shadows along the walls. Leo pointed at the chessboard. The pieces, they're moving on their own. Watch. The white king slid forward a square. The black knight leapt in response. A low mechanical whir accompanied each movement. Sophia's eyes widened. It's alive. The game itself is alive. A note appeared on the pedestal beside the board. Sophia picked it up and read aloud. One step wrong, one piece out of place, and the shadows will consume you. Leo swallowed hard. So we have to play correctly. The two studied the board. Each movement seemed to correspond with the symbols from the previous chamber, the sequence they had traced on the orb. Sophia's mind raced, connecting patterns and numbers. A shadow detached from the corner of the room, thin and elongated, moving silently across the floor. It hovered near the black pieces, testing, waiting. Sophia whispered, It's testing us. Every move matters. They began moving pieces in calculated steps, the tension building with every click. When they finally completed the sequence, the shadow recoiled, retreating into the darkness. A hidden door slid open on the far side of the room, revealing a spiral staircase descending even deeper. Sophia exhaled shakily. Every trap, every challenge, it's all part of this game. And M, they're always one step ahead. Leo nodded, grim but determined. Then we have to be smarter, faster, no mistakes. As they descended, the whispering grew fainter, replaced by a cold wind that carried the scent of ancient stone. The game had moved, the shadows had shifted, and Sophia and Leo knew this was only the beginning of a deeper, darker layer of the puzzle. The spiral staircase seemed endless, winding downward into the bowels of the tower. Each step echoed, a steady drum of tension that made Sophia's heart race. The air grew colder, damp, and thick with the scent of ancient stone. Leo's hand brushed the wall as they descended. I feel like we're walking into the tower's lungs. It's alive down here. Sophia shivered. And it's watching us. Every step, every move, it knows. At the bottom, they emerged into a narrow passageway, barely wide enough for two people. The walls were carved with symbols, some glowing faintly, others scratched deep into the stone. Shadows danced along the corridor, thrown by flickering torches placed at irregular intervals. This must be the hidden passage the note mentioned, Leo said, his voice low. It's not on any map. Whoever built this wanted to make sure no one followed easily. Sophia scanned the carvings. Some of these symbols, they match the ones on the envelope. M is leaving breadcrumbs for us. But why? As they moved forward, the floor shifted beneath their feet. Hidden pressure plates clicked faintly. Sophia's hand flew to Leo's arm. Careful, one wrong step and... Before she could finish, a panel in the wall slid open, revealing a narrow slit that emitted a pale greenish light. From within, the faint outline of a figure appeared, motionless. Leo crouched, whispering, It's a decoy. Someone wants us to stop here, to hesitate. Sophia's heart pounded, but she took a step forward. We don't stop, not now. The passage twisted again, turning sharply until they reached a small chamber. The ceiling arched high above, dripping water into a shallow pool below. A single pedestal stood in the center, and atop it rested a small, intricately carved box. Sophia approached slowly. Another puzzle. I can feel it. Leo nodded, examining the box. There's a mechanism here. Look at the symbols. They're like a combination, but not numbers. Letters, shapes, some kind of code. Sophia studied the carvings, tracing them with her fingertips. Her mind raced, connecting patterns from the clock tower, the glass orb, the chessboard. Slowly, she began to align the symbols in a sequence that made sense. A soft click echoed. The box opened, revealing a folded map and a small key. Sophia held them up. We have the next clue and a way forward. Leo frowned. But where does it lead? The tower seems to go on forever. A sudden gust of wind swept through the chamber, carrying a whisper that chilled their bones. Every step forward tightens the noose. Keep your wits sharp, or you'll be lost forever. Sophia swallowed hard. It's not just a game anymore. It's a test, and the tower wants to see how far we'll go. Leo's eyes met hers. Then we go, together, no matter what. They stepped deeper into the passage, the map guiding them towards unknown dangers, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The hidden path had revealed itself, but with it came the unspoken truth. Every step forward was a step closer to the unknown, and M was always watching. The air inside the old workshop smelled of oil and aged wood. Sophia and Leo stepped carefully over scattered gears and broken clock faces. Dust danced in the shafts of sunlight that filtered through grimy windows. This place, it feels like a time capsule, Sophia murmured, her voice low but steady. Leo scanned the walls, covered in intricate blueprints and strange symbols. If anyone knows about the traps and the puzzles, it's the clockmaker. But he's not here. Or maybe he's hiding. They approached a large clock in the center of the room, its hands frozen at 3:17. Beneath it, a hidden panel revealed a series of levers and dials, each engraved with unusual symbols. Sophia examined the panel. These symbols, they match the ones we've seen on the orbs and the tower walls. Whoever designed this, they knew exactly what they were doing. Leo nodded, cautiously pulling a small lever. The gears groaned to life. The clock hands began moving backward at an unnatural speed. Dust swirled, and the room seemed to warp slightly. Sophia held her breath. It's like the clock is showing us something. A secret compartment popped open in the wall, revealing a leather-bound journal. Sophia grabbed it, flipping through pages filled with precise sketches, coded notes, and maps of the city. Leo leaned over. This is the key. The clockmaker wasn't just making clocks. He was leaving us a path, a map through all of M's traps. Sophia's eyes widened. And he knew someone like us would come looking. Every trap, every puzzle, he anticipated it. A sudden creak echoed behind them. They spun around, but the doorway was empty. Only a shadow flickered across the floor. Don't forget, Leo whispered. M is still out there, watching, waiting. Every step we take, they know. Sophia nodded, clutching the journal. We have the clockmaker's secrets now, but knowledge isn't safety. It's just a guide. We need to move, and fast. As they left the workshop, the city outside seemed different. Every alley, every rooftop held potential danger. But with the clockmaker's journal in hand, they finally had a chance to stay one step ahead. Yet, somewhere deep in the shadows, a faint ticking echoed, steady, relentless, a reminder that time itself was part of the game, and M was always counting. The journal felt heavier with every step. Sophia clutched it tightly as she and Leo moved through the narrow streets. Night had fallen, and the city lights flickered like distant stars trapped behind fog. The ticking from the workshop still echoed in her mind. "We shouldn't go back to the tower," Leo said quietly. "If M knows we have the journal, they'll expect us there." Sophia nodded. "Then we don't go where they expect." They ducked into an abandoned train station on the edge of the city. The platforms were empty, tracks rusted, silence pressing in from every direction. It felt safe. Too safe. Leo spread the journal open on a cracked wooden bench. Pages of diagrams and coded entries filled the dim light from Sophia's phone. "There," Leo whispered, pointing at a detailed sketch of the tower's underground levels. "There's another chamber. It's not marked on any public blueprint." Sophia leaned closer. "A control room." Before she could finish, footsteps echoed behind them. Slow, calm, unhurried. They turned. A familiar figure stepped from the shadows. It was Daniel. Sophia's breath caught. "Daniel? What are you doing here?" Daniel looked different, calmer, almost relieved. "You weren't supposed to find the journal this quickly." Leo's expression hardened. "You followed us." Daniel gave a faint smile. "I didn't follow you. I guided you." Silence. The words hung heavy in the cold air. Sophia shook her head. "No, you helped us. You warned us about the tower." "Yes," Daniel replied softly, "because you needed to survive long enough to reach this point." Leo stepped forward. "You're working with M." Daniel didn't deny it. "I don't work for M. I work for the outcome." Sophia's voice trembled. "What does that even mean?" Daniel glanced at the journal. "The traps, the puzzles, the tower, they're not random. They're a selection process." "For what?" Leo demanded. Daniel's eyes met Sophia's. "For someone capable." A distant metallic sound echoed through the station. Not random, not accidental, planned. Sophia slowly stepped back. "You used us." Daniel's jaw tightened. "No, I tested you." Leo lunged forward, but before he could reach Daniel, the lights above flickered violently. The station door slammed shut with a deafening crash. A mechanical voice filled the platform. Phase 2 initiated. Sophia's heart pounded in her ears. "Daniel, what did you do?" Daniel didn't move. "I didn't start this, but now it can't be stopped." From the far end of the platform, metal shutters began descending, sealing exits one by one. Leo grabbed Sophia's arm. "We need to move, now." Daniel's voice cut through the chaos. "If you want the truth, go to the control room beneath the tower. That's where M is." "And you?" Sophia demanded. Daniel stepped back into the shadows. "I was never meant to be part of the end." The lights went out. Total darkness swallowed the station. For a moment, there was only the sound of Sophia's breathing and the distant, steady ticking of something unseen. Then, a single emergency light flickered on. Daniel was gone. Leo looked at Sophia. "We can't trust anyone now." Sophia closed the journal slowly, her fear transforming into determination. "Good," Sophia said quietly, "because now it's our move." And somewhere deep beneath the city, hidden gears began to turn. The game was entering its final stage. The tower looked different at night. No crowds, no city noise, just cold stone rising into darkness like a silent witness. Sophia and Leo stood at the entrance once again, but this time there was no hesitation. "We end this," Leo said quietly. Sophia nodded. They moved inside. The spiral staircase felt steeper than before. Every step echoed louder, as if the tower knew this was the final descent. The journal guided them to a hidden mechanism beneath the third landing. Sophia pressed the engraved symbol Daniel had marked in red ink. A section of the wall slid open. Behind it, a narrow metal ladder descending into darkness. Leo exhaled slowly. Control room. They climbed down. The space below was nothing like the ancient stone above. It was modern, metallic, covered in screens and wiring. Monitors displayed live feeds from across the tower, the puzzle chamber, the hidden passage, the workshop. Every step they had taken, watched. In the center of the room stood a single chair facing a wall of screens, and someone sitting in it. The chair rotated slowly. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a masked villain. It was Professor Alden. Sophia froze. "You?" Professor Alden removed his glasses calmly. His expression wasn't angry. It wasn't cruel. It was analytical. "I was wondering how long it would take you," he said. Leo's voice hardened. "You're M." Alden gave a slight nod. M was never a person. It was a measure. Sophia stepped forward, her hands shaking with anger. "You put us in danger. The traps, the station, Daniel." "Daniel volunteered," Professor Alden interrupted. "He understood the purpose." "What purpose?" demanded Leo. Alden stood, gesturing toward the screens. "This city is collapsing from inside. Corruption, hidden networks, people who manipulate systems without being seen." He looked directly at Sophia. "I needed minds capable of seeing patterns others ignore, people who don't panic, who think." Sophia stared at him. "So you built a maze?" "Yes." "You could have just asked." "No," Alden replied calmly, "because pressure reveals truth. Talent alone means nothing. Character under stress is everything." Silence filled the room. Leo took a step closer. "You risked lives." "I controlled the risks," Alden said. "Every trap had limits. Every room had fail-safes. You were never going to die." Sophia thought of the spikes, the collapsing doors, the darkness. "You don't get to decide that for us." Alden studied her carefully. "And yet," he said softly, "you're still here." He tapped a key on the console. One final screen lit up, a map of the city, marked with dozens of red signals. "These," Alden said, "are real threats, hidden operations, financial pipelines, blackmail networks." Leo stared at the map. "You're recruiting us." "I'm offering you something greater than a puzzle, a chance to dismantle something rotten." Sophia's heart raced. All the fear, the anger, the betrayal, it shifted, not into forgiveness, into clarity. "You manipulated us," she said. "You lied." "Yes." "And now you expect loyalty." "No," Alden answered calmly. "I expect a decision." The room fell silent except for the soft hum of machinery. Leo looked at Sophia. This was bigger than the tower, bigger than M. If they walked away, the red signals would remain. If they stayed, everything would change. Sophia stepped forward. "But no more games," she said firmly. "No more tests." Alden gave a small nod. "Agreed." Leo exhaled slowly. "And Daniel? He'll return, if you choose to stay." Sophia looked at the city map again. Then she reached out and shut off the tower surveillance feeds one by one. "If we do this," she said quietly, "we do it our way." For the first time, Alden smiled. "Good," he said. That was the final test. The tower above fell silent. The game was over, but something far bigger had just begun, and this time they were choosing it.